You just to get this out of the way, there is a U.S. court order, a contempt order against Mr. Marcos in relation to past human rights cases against the Marcoses filed by martial law human rights victims. We have already said, you have made this clear before, that's not going to be an issue in terms of him being able to enter the United States. He has immunity, of course, as head of state. Nonetheless, when it comes to the more informal parts of his program, outside of the UN especially, meeting with civil society, meeting with the private sector, he's bound to have, at the very least, at the periphery, civil society, activists, international media, trying to get his comments, his reactions. What is he braced for in terms of civil society, activists, human rights advocates, the international media, going after him with questions of human rights, the legacy of his father, corruption, and so on?
Well, that is something that obviously he or neither any one of us really have any control of because that is just part of history. And we just have to move forward and really look at this president who was voted in by 31 million Filipinos. And there are growing numbers that have already joined him. People who did not support him from different levels of society have already come forward and said, it's time for us to really just get together and we want to move this country forward. There's not to say that he's trying to revise history, because history cannot be revised by those who wrote it. And it was wrote by the victors, as he aptly said. Now, in the case, all of these cases, it's there. And being a head of state, obviously, he's going to have full immunity, not only in the United States, but most especially at the United Nations. You have to remember that at the United Nations, this case that he has is a contempt case stemming out of a civil case because of the estate of his father. And he is one of the executors of this estate. That's just a contempt case. I'm not demeaning it, but it is something that's there. But there are many heads of state. For example, Muammar Gaddafi went to the United Nations when he had a very, very big case with the United States. Remember Flight 103 of Pan American, where a lot of Americans died on that flight. And then you had Fidel Castro, who was obviously an enemy of the United States at that time. He has been to the United Nations so many times. And many others, Maduro and Chavez, and others who actually were right there in the rostrum denouncing the United States. So clearly, while we respect the opinion of others, but truly to look at this trip in a very positive, in a more positive way is the way to look at it. There are people who continue to try to bring all of these things to put a negative spin to it, and that's very unfortunate, because at the end of the day, President Marcos is not going to be the recipient of that negativity at this point, because it's already there. But it's the Philippines. So all these cases are not being thrown away, but it is something that is being faced by their family. And I think we just have to leave it at that.